As you can see, I've managed to gain access to Chesil Tunnel. No, I've not broken in. I'm here as part of a walking tour operated by Winchester Tourist Information, looking at the surviving infrastructure in relation to the Didcot, Newbury and Southampton Railway in the city, of which this tunnel walk is part of. There's a bit of a tale about this tunnel, which goes, any tunnel built exceeding 440 yards, well then a bonus would have been due to the navvies who were constructing it. Well, surprise, surprise, when completed the company measured it and it came out at 439 yards, just 1 yard short. Now, due to its curved nature, a remeasure was agreed, this time measuring the western wall, which came out this time at 441 yards and resulting in happy navvies. Over here on the east wall is an unobstructed recess. Now I'm showing you this because you can see it's in good condition, as is the rest of the tunnel, but the rest of these recesses are normally blocked up. Now this recess on my left, this is what I mean, this is normal for the tunnel. Most of them are obstructed and blocked by stored equipment. I've also noticed that if you look at the brickwork all along the tunnel, it appears to be of a different type. What I mean is all different colours. It's very strange, either that or they're replacements or repairs. On the right are some cable carriers, you see them? You normally see those along the ground. Here in the tunnel where walking space is restricted, they tend to be lifted up high. And here next to this recess is a double cable carrier. A bit rusty, but seems fully intact. That's the first one of those I've noticed in here actually. Now, throughout its use, Chesil was double tracked, with the odd spectacle of like a loco changeover taking place at the southern portal. You know, the swap over from GWR locos to an LSWR. That must have been a tight manoeuvre. But in 1960, regular passenger services ceased travelling through here, but freight did continue for another 4 years. It's difficult to imagine down here that above us is not only St Giles's Hill, but a busy modern city. As you can see, I'm almost at the end, but the tunnel does continue for another 100 yards or so. Behind that concrete wall is a shooting range of a gun club, which means for me, my tunnel walk is at an end. This is Moss Road in Winchester, and I'm standing on the north portal of Chesil Tunnel. And the aim, I don't know if you can see it through there, is to get down there. So let's see how we go. So as you can see, we was up there on Moss Road and we found the north portal of Chesil Tunnel. I'm not going to go in because there's not really any point. It's only about 20-30 yards of the gun club, and as you saw, we had good access to the tunnel from the south portal. So we're now going to head north towards Kingsworthy and see what we can find as we go that way. So just a very short walk from the north portal of the tunnel, and we've come to a filled in bridge, and you can just see the top of the arch there. You see it as it's going across. So that's an unexpected find. It's only a footpath across the top, so I don't think it's named. And you can see our track bed going on. Okay, let's stop the footage there for a moment and take a quick look at this photo. Today, it's a children's play park, but unbeknownst to me, after I'd left Winchester, I discovered that this approximate area had a relevant feature connected to the line. To help identify that, let's turn to Google Earth Maps. Now, while looking at that, cast your mind back, if you can remember, to part 1 of this series and Hockley Viaduct. There was a plaque dedicated to the troops who passed en route to the Avington military training camp during the First World War. Well, it appears that Avington camp, along with another called Magdalen Hill, was served by a very short-lived railway which branched away east from the Didcot, Newbury and Southampton line at approximately the site of the aforementioned play area. It was built late in the war in 1918, but thanks to the war ending in November of that year, it didn't last for long after that. So this is Eastern Lane Bridge. We've got some nice railings there. So let's have a look. I think this is probably quite modern, but let's have a look over the edge. So we've got a classic brick. Although it's filled in with quite a lot of vegetation and people have dumped their rubbish, you can see the edge of the cutting there. So their tunnel is that way right through the middle of that house, or it is towards that way anyway. So there's not a great deal to see there. But over here, look, railings made out of broad gauge. Isn't that cracking? Look at that. Same as the ones we saw at the top of St Giles Hill in the last part. And then over that side of the bridge, completely filled in with vegetation, so there's no way of getting in there unless we can find a route up here. We're in or around the Winnell area, Winnell Trading Estate. I'm pretty much on the track bed here, give or take a few feet. I think our biggest clue is these old wooden fence posts here. They've got to be contemporary with the railway, and our line would have carried on going north that way. So still on Winnell Trading Estate, our line goes behind these lorries. You can see the tree line. Over here, now according to the maps, was the site of our gasworks. I don't know, but is those they look quite contemporary. Is those buildings there, those brick buildings, is that the original gasworks? I'd love to know. Please tell me in the comments. But anyway, attached to the gasworks was 2 or 3 sidings, and they would have been situated around here. So they started here and headed north. Let's just make sure I don't get run over. Headed north that way through where these modern buildings are today. And obviously our track bed through there, inaccessible at the moment. Let's return to the map, this time with the National Library of Scotland. Now, here we're looking at the modern overhead view of the Winnell area, with the railway marked in orange. And I'll also just give some locations to where I've been so far in this part. Now, here is the north portal of the tunnel. Here is Eastern Lane Bridge, and I am currently located here. Zooming into the gasworks building, let's mark it and then go back in time to the 1898 map. Now this map shows the location of the sidings. It also pretty much confirms that the building I suspected of belonging to the old gasworks appears to be on the exact site and exact alignment. I'm walking along St Swithin's Way. It's a very handy footpath from Winchester to Kingsworthy. Over there, as the sign says, is the A34. This, where you see all the cars on now, that's the northbound carriageway. And then in this clearing, you see some trees there. That's the other side. And then the other side of those trees is the southbound carriageway. And those trees depict our track bed. I believe it's still in there, but so it comes from the south there, heading north. There's absolutely no way in there for obvious reasons. But that's just to denote exactly where our track bed is. So I'll carry along this footpath because not far ahead of me is the site of the next station, and that's Kingsworthy. Now the map tells me that it's plonked, or the road is plonked right on top of the station site. So let's have a look up there and see if we can find anything. But I must admit, I'm not that hopeful. So it's just come under that tunnel, which goes under the northbound carriageway of the A34. This is the southbound one, and this is the one that's particularly interesting because although we've got like a modern concrete face here, as we get into the middle of the tunnel we got brick, and that is almost certainly contemporary with the railway. And then as we get to the end of the tunnel, it ends, and then we've got another concrete fascia, probably to widen it for the road. So I'm saying that that will be the bridge where our line used to run across the top of there. So coming out of the tunnel, fortunately we've got a footpath that heads along. So there's our old embankment up there where our line used to run, and look how high that is. I wonder if it was that high back in the day. So I know that Kingsworthy, oh, just noticed there, look, we've got a bit of broad gauge. And there's another bit there. Now these, what was the length of that one? That's a lovely piece. Now as at back at Chesil and at the bridge back there, these were used as fence posts, so you're highly likely there'll probably be a lot more. But it's a great indicator that we are on the route of the railway again, albeit right up there. So I've had a very good look round here. We've consulted with the maps. I think it's quite clear that there's absolutely nothing left of the station today, but I would say that I'm pretty bang on when I say that this area in front of us here, so round to where the 5 mph speed limit sign is, up on the bank is the site of Kingsworthy station. Not an original station, Kingsworthy was opened on the back of a petition in February 1909. On its high embankment it consisted of 2 platforms which formed passing loop with a single siding on the downside. As with most stations on the line, it closed in 1942 to allow for the war effort upgrade, reopening again the next year, before closing for good with the cessation of passenger services in March 1960. Today, the A34 dual carriageway has been built directly on top of the railway's alignment and obliterated any trace of the station, although it's rumoured that the up or northbound platform still remains within the dense trees flanking the A34. On Springvale Road, just coming into Kingsworthy again, I've done a bit of a detour out and then back in. Up there is the A34. And although today we've got this beautiful, not concrete bridge, well, the railway would have run right up there and obviously on a different bridge back then. So we're now going to start following, hopefully, north that way, and it's just up there that the alignment of the A34 and the Didcot, Newbury and Southampton railway break apart. So let's see if we can get up there. Sleepers. So we finally left the hustle and bustle of Winchester streets and Kingsworthy's busy road, and we're in the countryside, and it's absolutely lovely. So that's the end of urbanisation there. And believe it or not, I am stood right on the
site of the track bed. Now if you look ahead of you, you've got like a small avenue of trees. You've got the tall one there and then another one there. That is taking us in the absolute direction that we want. So that is our track bed. Obviously then, because of the land undulates here, I think, and I'll have to check on the maps, but this was an embankment filling the gap here as it came from Kingsworthy over there. We've got the Southwestern main line, you can see there through the trees on its high embankment. So we've got a bridge going under the Southwestern main line, which is what we're going to look for now. And I just find it hard to accept that this was a railway when there's absolutely no, the land is just completely as it was pre-railway. So let's go and see what we can find. So I've come up to our avenue of trees that I saw. That's these here, and incidentally I must thank the landowner who gave us permission to be on here. It was really kind, thanks a lot. So if I poke the camera through the fence, so we can see that's our Southwestern main line. I've been over there so many times and I've taken no notice of that bridge whatsoever. I don't know how easy it is to see on the camera, but that's our bridge there. So you can see the line went underneath. It's a big metal job as well, so I can't really miss it. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to see if I can get a little bit closer so we can get some closer shots. So as the train shows, that's our Southwestern main line. So you've got Winchester that way and Basingstoke that way. And I've managed to access the north side of the bridge. We couldn't get any closer to the south side because it was all fenced off, but we've managed to get to the north side through some brambles and vegetation, and it was well worth it because look, we have the whole of the brickwork of the bridge still extant, and it's a good view. On couldn't get any closer really without actually getting in it, and if you look up there you can see some metal cable carriers sticking out of the wall. So I'm really pleased to have got this close to the bridge. And now what we're going to do, we will turn north on the other side of this filled in bit and we'll head towards Worthy Down. So after clambering out of the trees, there's our bridge that goes under the Southwestern main line there, and I nearly fell down the bank. But anyway, northwards, and look at this, we've got a footpath here right on the track bed, and the first thing we see is this lovely brick bridge. On the maps it hasn't got a name, so it's just an unnamed road bridge really, but it's in very good nick. Straight away you still got some cable hooks there, and there's another one down there. So as we head north, we immediately into a very deep cutting. Look at the sides of that, about 25 feet. So let's head along and see what we can find. I'd like to say that we've got ballast here, but maybe that was put there to stabilise this as it's a public footpath now. But anyway, we've got the banks of the cutting very pronounced. So as we head north towards Worthy Down, let's see if we can find anything else. So I've only gone probably 100, 150 yards if that, and look how high the banks are now. It's probably risen to about 40 foot I reckon. That is an extreme piece of engineering. And then over here we've got what looks like the base of a telegraph pole. Nice neat lines, but the odd thing is it also looks like we've got another one directly opposite, which is a bit weird. So what was going on there? So let's carry on, and this is almost a canyon now. So here's something interesting that Tony pointed out. We've got what looks like a concrete cable carrier there. If it isn't, it's something to do with the railway. And here looks like we've got a potential remains of a telegraph pole, but on the top we've got the lightning conductor-y thing. Do you remember when we found one in the woods around Hockley, just after Hockley Viaduct, and it's the intact one still had this on the top? That's what it looks like anyway. So that's an interesting find. It could be a cable carrier. So the first thing you might notice is we're out of that enormous cutting now, and we're actually on top of an embankment, and we're only talking 250 yards that way. The second thing, and most interesting, look at this, we've got an embankment coming in which used to be another railway line. Now the Didcot, Newbury and Southampton railway enjoyed a huge renaissance during the Second World War. There was lots and lots of upgrades, passing loops and doubling of track all along its length, and this was to enable more traffic to come down it in the preparation for D-Day in 1944 and the invasion of German occupied Europe. And obviously more and more equipment had to reach the southern ports from the rest of the country. So this spur line was constructed in 1943, and its purpose was to free up the busy Shawford Junction on the south side of Chesil station, and it would allow trains to access the Southwestern main line, which, if I poke the camera through, you can see over there, and there's even a train going over it. So this would allow trains to travel directly onto the Southwestern main line and join it at Winchester Junction, which was just a little bit further down the line. It's only a few hundred yards. Now this spur was closed in 1951, and after the war it wasn't really used, to be honest with you. It was used to store wagons and rolling stock, and then when the DNSR closed in 1962 to passengers, this spur here was lifted, but it still exists all the way up to the former Winchester Junction and the main line onto the Southwestern main line. The locale northwest of Kingsworthy is very busy regarding railway activity, with the Didcot, Newbury and Southampton line and others. So I'll try to tidy it up a bit with an overhead view by showing the Southwestern main line heading from north to south. Adding the Didcot, Newbury and Southampton railway, and we can see as it traverses beneath the main line. And if I add the 1943 spur line, you can see where it joined that main line, which was so vital for preparations for D-Day the next year. While another line joins the main line at pretty much the same area, this time though from the east, and this is the former Mid-Hants line, an alternative route to London via Alton and Woking, which closed as far as Alton in 1973. The Watercress Heritage Line now operates on here between Alton and Alresford. So I'm on the spur coming from Winchester Junction. There's our DNSR main line, so we still haven't joined up. The junction is just a little bit down there, and what we have here, we have two bridges fenced off today. So we've got this bridge here. Don't forget we're still on our spur line here, and the main line would have come in. Let's see if I can poke it through the fence over there. I don't know if you can see the brickwork through there. So that's the main line of the DNSR over there. So they both still exist, although I must admit there's look at that huge crack there, so it's not in the best of health. And here are those bridges, and look at those, aren't they beauties? So this is the newer bridge. This is the branch that connected with the Southwestern main line. This is the one built in 1943. So you got a 1940s construction here. And as we move to the centre, you can see the original one built for the Didcot, Newbury and Southampton line. You can even see where it's been attached there to the older bridge and the different style of brickwork. And then moving through, we come to the west side of the main line now. Now, isn't that a blinder? So climbing back up to the embankment now, and it's quite a stiff one as well. Oh, that's steep. Ow, ow, ow. Right, so we're back on the track bed. Whew. So there's the bridges that we just walked under and walked over. The Didcot, Newbury, Southampton main line, Spur to Winchester junction, so they haven't joined yet. So if we start walking a little bit further north, and I'm going to make a guess at this one, but I reckon the converging point would probably be around, judging by the way everything's narrowing in, probably around here. You see the embankment sides are coming in, so I would say this is the junction of where the spur would have come off. Now, what have we got here in the trees? Is that a pillbox? A Second World War pillbox? I think it is. Wow. Let's have a look around the outside first. So this is probably part of the World War II upgrade. I mean, if it is a pillbox, it's obviously World War II. There's our entrance, and I'm afraid I'm not 2 foot tall, and I haven't got the bones to get in there anymore. I might have done 20 years ago. However, we do have a window we can look through, so let's see what's in there. Well, I'm reliably informed by the adjacent information board that this is a Type 22 pillbox, one of 25 built in 1940 as a ring of defences, as this area was considered a likely German airborne invasion site by paratroopers. It also states that of the 25, 23 still remain, so it's likely I'll find some more. So I've come off the track bed again because we've got another one of these beautiful bridges. It's built in the same style that they all seem to be built in. This one looks like just an occupation bridge with the road going under the railway. So if we go back onto the west side and start heading north again. So up here we've got some buildings, and they belong to the current Ministry of Defence building. The original building was opened in 1918 as a Royal Flying Corps depot at the end of the First World War, and I think it was used for stores, that sort of thing, for the Royal Flying Corps before becoming an RAF base. But this is interesting because I think these are original posts. Now, I know Worthy Down Station's a little bit further up there, but this footpath takes us up to the track bed, and these are quite degraded as we go up, so it's a footpath going up to the track bed. It's too early for the station because we've probably got a couple of 100 yards at least, but look, these posts continue all the way up this footpath, and then just up here by this broken post we have some brickwork. Now my theory is, and I haven't looked at any maps, but my theory is, could this have been an original crossing point? Was it a bridge or something like that? I'll have to consult the maps. But let's get back onto the track bed and head into our next station, which is Worthy Down Halt. So here is our map from the National Library of Scotland, dated 1958. The footpath in question sits here, but as is evident on the map, it doesn't even feature, so therefore I can only assume that it has been incorporated after closure. So once more I'm heading northwards, and in the distance behind the trees I can just see the bridge which lies just before Worthy Down Halt. Now look, there's another pillbox up there on top of the embankment. I said we'd probably see another. So yeah, you can just see the bridge up ahead, and beyond that is Worthy Down Station. I've noticed that as we get closer to Worthy Down, which is just up there, on the embankments are some strange concrete structures, such as this. Now whether they've just been thrown over, see some more up there, it doesn't look railway to me. And whether it's just been thrown over from the Ministry of Defence buildings over there in the last, well, the railway's been closed 70 years, I don't know. And then we have this one, once again concrete, doesn't look at all railway to me. More than likely Second World War, but it could be any period, you know, from then up to anything up to the 80s or 90s even. If anyone does know, please let me know. And then from the unknown we come to something that is definitely recognisable, next to the unrecognisable again. So some more of that concrete sitting there, but right here we have some sleepers. That's the first ones we found since Handlebars Cafe. And what's good is we have the bolt still sitting in there where the track chair would have sat, and we also have, where Tony's cleared it, some track chair, so that's a good find. And as for this up here, well, it's wooden, doesn't look like a sleeper or what. Anyone? So now we come to our next station, and this in its last guise was Worthy Down Halt.